Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Cosmic Heart Conversation podcast where you're joined with me, Georgie Dragonfly, and Nicola Russell. And she's now going to introduce herself.
Hi, Georgia. Thank you very much for bringing me on and having a conversation with you today. For everybody that will sort of listen in and sort of see what we've got to say and sort of taking that into empowering themselves. So yes, thank you. So I'm Nicola Russell. I would call myself, if I met somebody in the street, a quantum energy and sound healer. We can put all these different sort of labels on ourselves, but the simplest form I would say is actually an energy and sound healer. So the energy is sort of from a Reiki base. So I started off as a Reiki master, and then my light language got ignited, and so I use the power of light language through voice and what I call fire codes, which are energy projected out of my hands, and they're sort of encoded into people's energetic field to ignite, to activate, to release energy that is no longer serves them, and all that wonderful good stuff. So that's who I am, in my simplest form.
One multidimensional aspect of you.
Yes, a multidimensional quantum healer, shall we say.
Yeah. I love that you said about the labels, because a few of the podcasts already that that's what people have brought up. Yeah, it's labels, isn't it? And it's really just giving people a roundabout view of what you are, but really it's not the totality, is it, at all? We are vast.
Yeah,
it's lovely
definitely.
to hear that. It's very again a very grounded approach to a very cosmic experience that we're having with the humans.
Yeah, I think that we're sort of like, where we're so sort of programmed into that, who are you? I'm Nicola, I am a mother, I am, sort of, whoever you may sort of label yourself as being. We're so programmed into that it's quite alien to us to actually then sort of just saying, well, I am. I am, therefore I am. It's something sort of like the ego has to detach from these labels, like what star system are you from, or what energy are you using, who are you calling upon. I think as if we sort of see that if it's moving into the positive, into the light and sovereignty of the soul and expansion of the soul, then that's all that's needed. You're connecting to all that is. Then it doesn't restrict you.
Yeah, not putting boundaries on yourself.
Yeah.
So how would you say this began for you? Because you're very, I feel like, quite established in who you are, and what you do. You feel so assured, self-assured with that.
Yeah.
Within yourself. Yeah. And that's obviously going to be in a process.
Yeah, it's been a long journey, actually. So it's not sort of happened overnight for me. Some people, it's a little bit of a quickening process, but I had a bit of a family sort of trauma probably about 12 years ago that really sort of shook me up, and I really sort of went into a bit of a downward spiral. So I went in through a bit of a dark night of the soul, really sort of unpacking who was I, sort of connected in with sort of going really sort of deeply into meditation. So my journey started off with actually a little spiritualist church. Don't know why, I just did, and I was really drawn there, and the people there were absolutely really supportive. I was going through all these emotions at the time, and so through that sort of meditation, then I was really sort of was made aware of actual spiritual healing at this little church. And I had a little session with this particular lady after a little service, and afterwards I was like, what just went on there? I just didn't understand it. Then I was really drawn into Reiki, so I did Reiki, and then that's when things really sort of shifted in me, where my light language ignited. within my system, which started off with the hand doing all of this crazy stuff. And then the dialect started coming probably about 3-4 weeks after. I just sat bolt up right in bed and just started speaking it. So that sort of like was a bit shocking, which then sort of created massive waves within the family of, well, she's going a little bit insane. She thinks that she's healing. And so there was a lot of breaking down of relationships as well along the journey, which totally broke down in the end a couple of years ago, actually. So it was, you know, it's not been easy in many ways, but now I'm here where I am at, it just feels so right. It just feels that that's who I am, and I'm really fully embodying it. And now I'm starting to write light codes, and which has been activated in the last sort of couple of weeks, and now I just can't stop writing light codes. So it's been a journey, and it's the understanding of, you know, that we've got to adjust the energetic field, the physical body alignment, the emotional states with the mindset, and it's the upgrading of the human self. It's the ascension, is the upgrading of the human self. It's not the higher levels of consciousness. The higher levels of consciousness is already there. It's the human experience we need to upgrade. And I think that's what I would say for most people, is that it's, you know, that part of you needs to be upgraded. And I see it so many times that somebody might call themselves as being really spiritual, but their human hasn't caught up with their connection to high levels of consciousness, you know, and it's embodying and bringing that down into physicality and becoming that flow of energy with compassion and light, rather than thinking that you are because you're connected. It's the embodiment which is really important.
So in your own experience, what have you found has brought about that embodiment? Have you just stumbled across embodiment practices perhaps, or have you just been guided, maybe given intuitive, or has it just been life lessons? I'd love to know more about.
A big mixture, Georgie, actually, a big mixture. I have a YouTube channel myself, and I must say that actually my YouTube channel, to me, actually speaking into camera, has been a massive healing and understanding process, because when I speak through into the camera, I understand things a little bit deeper. So I go into sort of information, and then I catch my ego goes, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I didn't know that. So I get sort of upgrades when I do things like that. So that's really interesting. And then also
you get guided to watch them back.
Yes, I do. Yeah, so any transmissions that come through, any information, I get my whiteboard out, and I'm like, oh God, I've got to listen to that again so I can embrace it and upgrade the human. So it's like you can get a transmission that comes in, but then you'll get this that comes in. But if the human doesn't normalize it, then it almost sort of goes back into a cycle. So you've got to, if you're listening to sort of, you know, like your beautiful code yourself, and any light language or written dialects or however it is, it's that normalizing for the human mind to upgrade itself, to enable it to then fully come into embodiment. So and also I get sort of masses of downloads all the time. I get taken offline. I go rest. Then I get a download come in, especially at night time. I get sort of upgrades during those processes there. So I've been self-activating. I don't often get drawn to people's codes, to be honest with you. I self-activate myself. So it's always been that way. So I always talk to myself in light language, always, you know, and now I'm writing my codes, and I get activated as I go. So I don't feel that I need to look outside of myself anymore. And I think that's a process that we go through, is that initially we search outside of ourselves for guidance and sort of upgrades by others, but actually ultimately the process is about being empowered and bringing it in. So if anyone's sort of ignited their light language, it's really important to let it be expressed, because that's the self-activation process. I think that's important. That's sort of something that would be my key thing, if anybody has ignited that within themselves, is that self-empowerment with the journey as well, but also being out there with other people that upgrade us. So we get together, don't we, Georgie, and we upgrade each other, but from a place of empowerment. And that's important.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and we work together quite nicely as in our little collective pods.
We do.
Doing whatever we're doing, getting up to be on the grid.
We only met yesterday, didn't we? Met yesterday and did a brief sort of little anchoring in, a bit of light and galactic stuff that came through, which was really very interesting. But yeah, we sort of push each other's boundaries out, don't we, and activate. And that's important as well, is that when you can find like-minded people, you can get clarifications, upgrades, downloads. Key codes also are something that I've sort of seen. It's almost like a default sort of two-way authentication. So you get like a code from somebody, and then you can give them a code, and then you get the code back. So you get like a download on top of a download. It's almost like it sort of gives a sort of sense of like a rite of passage to the next level of understanding of who you are. So they've been quite interesting as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think even whether you're on the very early stages of that kind of pathway, or you've been doing this a long time, that clarification, seeing the synchronicities through observing through your tribe, your collective, or friendships, even if you're just online on groups and you're connecting with other people, and you see that there'll be like a phase, won't there? You'll sometimes see online that everybody's suddenly getting this massive download from like the Palladians, for instance, and it's the same kind of message, and I feel that happens because it's going, look, this isn't just coming from you, you're not the only one. We're all in this together. And there's this reinforcement of that although we can't see everything in this reality, but it still exists, and that's the confirmation, is through sharing our human experience that we're having, or our spiritual experiences with other humans. If we just kept ourselves to ourselves,
definitely
cause detachment, or you can become unsure of if what you experience is real. And I suppose that experience you were having at the beginning, you were finding people who were like-minded, that were giving you the confirmation, well, no, I'm not mad, because look at these other people, they're doing it. Otherwise, there's a lot of mad people on the earth right now.
It's the awareness. I think it's the thing, is that the awareness of it is from other people's experiences. And then when you experience it yourself, then it's a clarification of an understanding what's going on. And then once you understand it, you can refine the information that comes through. So in the beginning, I was like, what's going on? I used to go to a little group of people, and I said, what is this? And the lady said, oh, it's light language. And I said, is it? What's that then? I didn't know. So I researched it out on the internet. At the time, there was sort of, there was a few people doing it, not as much nowadays. Now, sort of in this now moment, there's quite a few people sort of offering their transmissions out, which is fabulous, because it normalizes it. The mainstream may catch on to it at some point, and it will become normal. So it's not being afraid to come out. But initially I was really unaware of what the power of light language was all about, or and people's ideas about it. I did go for a patch of thinking, or maybe it's because I don't understand it so much, it's coming from somewhere that's not good. Because I was told that in the beginning as well, was you've got to stop that nonsense. That's what I was told by a couple of people, and it really did sort of make me stop stop and think, but it kept on coming, and it felt good, and it was helping people, was helping me. And I thought, well, that can't not be bad if I'm feeling good after a transmission, or the healing has sort of been supercharged by a code or something. That's not, it's the misunderstanding by somebody else's perspective.
Yeah.
But it's the refinement of understanding that's the critical point of embodying your gift.
Yeah, for sure. And something I've really come to notice, which has helped me feel more reassured in my experience, is actually connecting with really traditional tribes that have actually always had spoken what we are calling it light language, but it has many names, and
another label,
symbols and stuff. You'll look into ancient scriptures and stuff, and you'll find the same stuff there, and it's just shows you it's already there, it's already here, it's always been here. It's kind of been suppressed in some ways, and I think the normal is to be seeing just being very, very it is just that going your job and that kind of thing. And there's this sort of, you meditate even in a certain way, and there's structures to all these different things. And I think light language is this natural flow of expression that's just coming from the heart. It doesn't really, you could say it's really nameless, because it's all things moving through us. And it's so interesting to see how everybody expresses it differently, because they are unique, and it's a unique expression of the one.
yeah, definitely. It's what I always sort of speak about, is that if you had a jigsaw puzzle with all the same pieces of jigsaw, that it'd be a very boring jigsaw puzzle to put together. You want some that's got a bit of an edge and a corner, and the bits in the middle have got different, and different pictures that create one big picture. And and just because somebody's got a corner and you're right in the center there, it doesn't mean to say that that's better than you or you're better than them. It's part of a whole piece of a jigsaw puzzle. And from each individual perspective, it will be a different viewpoint. But when you look at it and you come together with like-minded people, you can see things from different perspectives and get a clearer, rounded picture. And that's important as well, is that just because somebody else is doing something here, or maybe a footstep ahead of you, doesn't mean to say they're any better than you. It's just that their journey is just a little bit, a year or so ahead of you. Doesn't mean to say that they're any more powerful. And I think that this is when we start looking at the ego from a point of judgment that we need to let go of. Because everybody holds their own truth, and every truth is truthful. So we just got to honor that as well. That process of waking that up into the ego mind, the upgrading of the human, is to just trust the process, because at the very beginning of my journey of understanding my practice to now is completely different. And you cannot judge somebody's practice from 5 years ago because you had a session with them, like, oh, I didn't like her session, or or I did like her session. It doesn't matter. In that truth, in that now moment, was at that point. But in a forwarding journey, there would be the evolution of the soul and the understanding, and maybe somebody had to go through something to get to this point, which now they're bringing in their fullness of their understanding. So it's always about from different experiences that we have, the identification of who you are, your persona moves and changes and shifts also. So we can't judge people because when they was at school as a teenager, there was a right old rebel, and now they might have been this completely enlightened being that's sort of assisting humanity. We can't judge people for what they do in a now moment. So it's all about forgiveness also, is that as we move on the journeys, that we start to forgive ourselves for anything that we feel that we've done in the past. But now we know that actually, as we move into the future, that we can embody that sense of compassion and love with the light that goes with it into oneness. So it's important that as we move through, it's to release that sense of judgment of yourself and others and forgive also.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen some really profound experiences within ourselves and others that have, had to really, shift that part of themselves to enable them to see the beauty of yourself. Because sometimes we're almost like holding on to like that aspect of us that isn't good, and you don't feel good enough to be that person because of something you may have done in the past, even past life things. It can hold you even subconsciously if you feel you've not even done anything particularly bad, you wasn't particularly a rebel, but you still have this unknown guilt. It might actually be even from another lifetime that you need to just sort of go, right, it's okay, I'm now here in this lifetime to experience being that one that is in service of love and that for the service of raising humanity's consciousness.
Yeah, definitely.
Let go of those things, and we are able to be more in our own truth and live authentically.
Yeah, I think that, that's absolutely right. It's that authenticity of owning who you are, really embracing, anything that sort of comes through for you with any experience, whether we navigate it or put a label on it of being good or bad. Every experience that we experience will be for your greater good and the evolution of your soul. It's important to remember that. I've just literally got off a phone call actually from a lady that had gone through some traumatic sort of experiences in a spiritual path, and when you're in that sort of emotional state, you can't see beyond the emotional state. If you're in fear, then you're only going to see fear, which is an illusion to who you truly are, which is light, which is creator source energy. And when we sort of see that as being a truth of who we think we are, we can't look beyond that. So the good and the bad comes into play with, that was a bad decision, I really shouldn't have done that. But it's not ever a bad decision, it's an experience. And that's when, again, the judgment of yourself comes into play, and of the forgiveness of an experience. It's the soul's evolution of understanding whilst we're here to experience, whether it is that polarized opposition or bad or good. It's easier to hold the light because we're naturally light. It's hard to hold. It's really hard and sticky and gritty to really embrace fear and anger and sadness. And it's harder to experience because it's not naturally who we are, and we're naturally light. We're naturally of the light. So once we're sort of aware of that we're able to sort of move in that direction back into that, it's an easier process as we allow ourselves to do so.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And because you gone through quite a deep, you've got like something called cryotherapy, haven't you? So how did you actually come about with that one?
So it's energetic emotional release, or cryotherapy, came to me. It was downloaded to me through a process of we've got little Louise there, a process of understanding my journey when I left my relationship. So it was a combination of being aware of my energetic flow, which is, I'm all about energy. I'm really all about energy. Everything to me is energy, which it should be, that's how I feel anyway. Well, I say should, it's just is, isn't it? And then breath work and a process of the seeing of an emotional state that is in a cycle. So if you get a perpetuating cycle of experience of the same emotion, why is it there? So you're looking at a deep core wound that you're going to look at. And then once you see when that emotion comes up, that you go in and when it's ready to purge it through literally releasing it emotionally. So you bring it up from the subconscious and you literally sort of sit with it. You place your intentions in to receive it, to see it. But the key thing with it is how I practice it myself, is that you observe the emotion, but you don't attach to it. And this is what we do. We identify, we label ourselves as being sad. We label ourselves in being fear. But if I feel that sort of sense of fear coming up, I go like, oh, okay, see you, I see you. But I might feel the fear, I might feel the sadness come up, but I don't identify, which then allows me to release it because it's not mine. I don't embody that sense of that within myself. I don't identify with it. And since I've been doing that practice, which I've got a little online course on Starseed with that, is that since I've been doing that practice and really clearing and just checking in with my energy, checking in with my emotional state, checking in with how do I feel about myself from a mindset perspective of how do I see myself as being a human, then it's allowed me to sort of go in when these emotions come up, to look at it, embrace it and say, okay, cool, right, thanks for showing me, and seeing the positive side of it of, okay, I can let that go now, and I energetically feel it leaving my energetic field and my physical body as you sort of shake it off and everything. So it's a little so it's a sort of a build up of information, and then it was sort of built up into a course, and then I sort of and I practice it all the time. But it's important also to add, sorry to going on for a long time here on this, but it's also important to understand that actually experiencing the emotions is also good, or something that the human needs to experience. So it's not just sort of like, oh, I've got to clear it, it's like, okay, let me sit with this. Do I need to really deeply feel it? Because when you deeply feel it, you can go into the deepness and the depth of the emotion, which brings up the depth of the stickiness. So you're going in and purging really deeply, but with purpose and intention to release it. There's a difference to sitting there for a month feeling really or purposely going in, having a practice of saying, okay, I'm going to go in, what's been shown will show me what can come forward. And you literally find yourself emotionally sort of, I call it cry therapy, because you do end up crying, but with the depth of the crying, it literally moves it through your field.
Yeah, I think that's really a really good point, because I think again on this journey of being the light, we're moving to the light, that we then can find ourselves wanting to not look at that shadow, look at the trauma and the pain, because we just want to be the light. And if we look at it, then we have to look at another aspect of ourselves that is of a different vibrational resonance, and then we have to experience that vibrational resonance. So I find that it's important. It's really, really important.
Yeah, definitely.
I also wanted to ask you about nature and your experience with nature as well. And do you find that light language, maybe that this is something that is ignited when you're in nature? Do you feel you communicate with ways in your
really, absolutely. I've been so privileged to move to a beautiful location since I left the family home, and it's right on a water reservoir, a really very beautiful place with loads and loads of very old trees around me. And my absolute passion is trees, actually. Any sort of a vegetation. The trees are my main go-to, where I can really communicate with them and feel that sort of sense of love around them. And I feel it's part of my journey, my mission is to connect the trees up because they are really very amazing transmuters of energy. So they give us oxygen, and they take our carbon dioxide away. And they do the same with our negative energy also. They take negative energy into the system like they would our carbon dioxide, and they transmute it through their energetic field and their physicality. They anchor it down into the Earth's grid, and they move the energy up. They're a clear vessel transmuter. They're just so precious, trees. Many people don't totally understand how important they are to the environment and to Gaia. There's a link between some trees that may be anchor trees. I've got an anchor tree just over here, which is a beautiful old oak. And it every time I see him, I speak light language to him, and he give a tree a hug and a hands on, give an energetic exchange. And they, and they also really help heal. If you place your back onto a tree and sit against a tree, and you just ask the tree to take some negative energy from you, some trees will literally suck it out of the back of you. So trees are really healing to be around. And then indeed water, blessing the water, being with the earth, all of the different elements. It's important to embody and be human. We could so be connected to up that way, but we need to bring it in here, down. Yeah, and nature does that.
And of course we have dimensions even within this realm as well. It's not just us living here in
yeah.
And so have you ever crossed paths with any other dimensions whilst you've been out and about?
Yeah, interesting, really very interesting. I went to a wonderful place called Bedgebury in Kent. It's like a Pinetum, which is a really wonderful place. It's like a sanctuary for trees. It's really very beautiful. And it was one particular time that I went, and if you sort of like loosen the gaze, and as I looked out into this sort of body of water, the water literally turned cerise pink, and there then sort of came these golden sort of light codes on the water. And then as I sort of glanced over to the tree sort of transferred itself into a different dimension and showed itself if its true form. So the colours of the tree wasn't just like a greyish sort of bark. It lit up with the most beautiful greens and yellows and reds, and it sort of was showing itself to me as I sort of moved myself into a different dimension. It's the crazy, you can only experience in it from here. I cannot give you proof by a photograph or a scientific, logical, mindseted way. When you've experienced it, it's true, and there was no going back from it. So that was a massive, big sort of shift for me, to really sort of really anchor into those other dimensions that the trees will show you, and and you can work with them so easily once they know you. Some trees are quite chatty. I've got a tree at the top. As I walk around, it's always like, hello. It likes to have a chat, but the one out here is quite silent, and sort of sussed me out a bit now. And so we have this sort of, like, you're right, yeah, okay, I'm right. So I have that going on at the moment with the tree next door. But yeah, they have different personalities, but yeah, different dimensions. Fairies come in, dragons, I've had before. All of these sort of wonderful little beings that are here to assist us, but it's sort of the purity of heart that they will show themselves to you.
Yeah, I think when we just relax, settle into it, and allow ourselves to just trust and believe in the experience. I think if you're dubious or a little bit scared, then a being's not going to want to scare you if they're actually there to that, you know, they're benevolent beings, you know, they don't want to actually do that to you, so they're not going to go, oh, here I am, and then wow. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah, yeah.
when you're feeling in a good space to receive, then
Yeah,
more
definitely.
will be revealed to you. I mean, we had that experience again yesterday at the
Yes.
stone circle in the sky. You know, we were seeing the galactic ships and energy moving around in the sky, and
It was amazing, wasn't it? It was just like, we just all stood there just looking and seeing the light strobes, and you know, it was cloaked, but you knew it was there, and they showed it was there as the sort of that main light sort of moved, didn't it, as it sort of went down and up, and then sort of light strobing coming from it, and then other little sort of outside lights coming up to go like, we're here, something. But it was very interesting, and I love those sort of experiences as well. You know, as we sort of start to understand a little bit more what's out there other than just us humans.
Yeah, becoming galactic citizens, aren't we?
We are indeed. We are indeed.
Or the awareness that we are.
Yeah. And it's the you know, the thing that my galactic sense of beingness is this soft disclosure comes from within. You know, there's outward experiences of somebody else that might say their story, but when you connect internally to that aspect of yourself, there's no denying it. So the disclosure comes from within inside of yourself. Everything is in here. And so if you connect deeper into yourself, then you'll get more outward information come in. But we're a projector of light, and whatever we hold within ourselves, we create with this outward reality. And so if we go in to find that within ourselves, then we then see it outside of ourselves.
Yeah. And I suppose the outside doesn't really feel outside anymore either, does it?
Yeah. You're like,
guides don't feel like things that just come out of nowhere to just, oh, I'm just going to assist you for, you know, just felt like it. It's like, oh, well, we're actually aspects. We're all a part of the same soul.
Absolutely. The other day, Georgie, it was really interesting actually. I'd sort of got up sort of quite late with all sort of integrating all these energies, and I didn't have any appointments that particular day, and I was like, oh, I'll get up, you know, I'll get up when I get up. So I let my sort of internal clock sort of come into being. And then when I woke up, I just felt as if I was everything. It was the weirdest sensation that I hadn't experienced before. So I always sort of, you know, sort of invite new experiences in of the evolution of my soul, shall I say. So I'm not inviting it to all experiences, but I'm inviting it into the understanding of who I am, the sovereignty of my light. And I connected with, it was almost like I had different people come into my field, and I could see from their perspective who they were through their eyes. And I was sort of connecting with the tree sort of next door, and I was connecting with the water, and I was connecting with this and that. And everything sort of felt so expansive. And I was like, hang on a minute. I felt like, whoa, hang on a minute. Let's just draw it back a little bit, universe, please, because my little ego was going. I was so caught in this sort of sense of, what's going on? I just felt that I was everything. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. But they turned it down a little bit for me, so let me get on with my day. But again, it'll be coming in more and more and more and normalize.
So just integrate it, doesn't it, by taking the steps, experience, and understand that you got now the integration time before you might go back into that experience again, and there'll be something new in that every time, won't they?
I think that's important. An absolute big point to make is it's that integration period that is so important. It's the up leveling of the human mind to normalize it, so that the ego sees it as not being anything dangerous or fearful to experience. It just becomes normal. You know, and you know yourself is that if you look back over sort of 10 years worth of, you know, so your journey, if you would have sort of be the person that you are now that time ago, you'd be overwhelmed. Too much information. So it has to go through these like little incremental little steps. And this is, you know, when we do our healing, is just these little gradual refinements of information that sort of help us understand the whole process. And it just eases the understanding with the integration. So it's important not to keep pushing for something, but allowing it to unfold.
Yeah, that's it. I was going to just say, yeah, the experience happens.
Yes.
Well, you know, in the right time, you know, we say time, but yeah, it will happen when it's really meant to be for your highest and greatest good.
Definitely.
Those experiences are always there, always available. I'm one who has definitely pushed myself a little bit sometimes, trying to do lots of different things, but it's okay. Again, that's still another learning experience.
Absolutely.
Of itself. Yeah. So do you feel that you have like a transmission that you like to bring through for everybody listening, something that's really reflective perhaps?
Yes, I've actually got a code before I do, which I haven't quite finished. There's another layer to go on it, which is this one here actually.
Okay.
Which, it's I tend to sort of do more template work. So I don't know, because the light's sort of shining on a little bit, but it's
listening on the podcast, do head to the YouTube channel and you can
but it looks like a load of scribbles on a bit of paper from my ego mind. I'd go, what's that all about? But it was it came to me this morning actually. It was the word freedom. So I'd like to bring through with an intention to allow that to be translated into a dialect, so you'll get it even if you're on podcast then.
Yeah, brilliant.
Okay, so I'm going to place our intentions then to bring in the light from the highest source of guidance to break us free from any restrictions or suppression, to bring us into the sense of freedom, to allow us to expand into the sovereignty of our light. So it's always important to set those intentions, to let go of everything that no longer serves us through all time and space, and to allow that to occur also. Okay, so I'm just getting a little bit of a download right now. My eyes are starting to flutter, which is the way that it tends to work with me. Just allow and drawing that information down into embodiment. Thank you. Yeah. The secret is held within inside of you. It is the allowance of the process that will give you a sense of freedom. Okay, so we've got some codes that will come in to activate. Thank you. And 𝐶𝐢𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐻 𝐶𝐢𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐻 and just allow that to integrate in within the system. Thank you. It's about awakening that heart. Thank
you so much. That was really beautiful. Just everyone just take a breath and just allow it to integrate. Know that this is just your time now to just receive, allow, and expand in your own time. And just be gentle on yourselves.
Yes. Yes, just step by step. Just allow it to unfold. Don't force it. Just allow and trust the process.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. It's been a real pleasure, as always, to talk with you and
thank you,
your energy. It's lovely. You're always, there to just help and be in service for everybody. You bring so much information and guidance and transmissions for everybody. It's you've really gone into it. You've poured your heart into this experience and of being in service. It's a real beauty to watch. So thank you for that. And
thank you.
If you would like to just share any information now about the services that you do have, so people that feel really resonant from this talk and the transmission, if they want to find you, where can they do that and how?
So I have my YouTube channel, which is Remembrance Into the Light with Nicola Russel. So that's a lovely little place to start to sort of see my sort of sense of work. And there I've got all the links below with all of the information, which is my own personal website, which is 𝐸𝐺russel.co.uk. And then I have all my online courses at starseedyou.com. So I have a lot of understanding of light language. I've got a series of light codes on there as well, energy awareness courses, and the cryotherapy courses on there also. Thank you for that. So on Facebook is Nicola Russel. And I'm just trying to think where else I'm at. I'm also working with a beautiful being, which we're going to be doing some work with, you and I also, with Sandra Jennings, which is at a networking system called Blue Pool. So we'll be doing a lot more work in the new year for that. So if anyone's sort of near in Kent to the East Coast, we're doing in-person healings together. So that's there's not a website at that at the moment, but that can be found through Facebook, which is Blue Pool Network. So yeah, I've got an awful lot going on, lots going on. I think next year is going to be amazing in so many ways. It depends upon where your perspective is, you'll pick up on the energy of it. So if you can try and anchor that light a little bit more, keep going into the sovereignty of your light, that 2022 will be a smoother ride for you for next year. But if you're anchoring in that light, then it's going to be amazing. Surf surfing the waves rather than being pulled down into the, the changes that are going on in the collective at the moment, which are necessarily not necessary to observe that's going on around us, but connect in here will stabilize the experience of the outward world. It's important.
Yeah. So really thank you for that. That's a really good message to end there, because we are going into the new year as we're having this talk, and there's so much to be for 2022 and beyond. So each moment, live it presently, and you'll be all right. It's all good. We're all together. There's many tribes. Just find your tribe. They're all there, all around you.
We're all here of assistance, and the beautiful work that you do, Georgie, is astounding. We really resonate. We are tribe members. We hold different frequencies, connecting to different beings, which we need to sort of bring them forward. But your energy is so beautiful, and it use us as a sense of guidance, and anybody out there that is of being stepping forward into their journey, but just know that it's the empowerment that needs to come online once you've got that sense of who you are. Step from the guidance. Is like we hold your hand, but we'll let go of your hand for you to stand into your own light, and then you can then send those ripples out from a place of strength once you feel that you're ready to be let free in that sense of expansion and stepping forward into your mission work.
Especially doing the blue pool stuff in person, and hopefully there'll be a lot more in-person events next year, so people can really gather. These online things that we've had going on are absolutely amazing. Yeah,
but it's in person is important.
In-person stuff as well.
And there's sort of plans as well for potentially sort of moving around the country as well. So if somebody's sort of not necessarily in the southeast of England, then there are plans to go to different areas and sort of London and more central sort of places, and maybe down towards the southwest, near Glastonbury. So there's lots of opportunities that we will be creating, but we've got to take one step at a time and evolve within that as well. So it's exciting. Embracing, creating the new.
Exactly, that's how we do it.
Got to be created.
Creators create. Definitely.
Yeah.
Right then. Well, thank you everybody. Remember that every Friday we'll be launching a new heart conversation. So do join us, like, subscribe, and give us a little comment or review how you received, what you got from this session, and especially the transmission that Nicola shared there. It was very magical, and I can imagine that lots of you will be feeling lots of different things and having lots of crazy, awesome experiences afterwards. So I'd love to hear about that. Maybe it's even ignited some light language, who knows? Nicola's definitely one for doing that. So good to hear. Yeah, definitely. All right then, bye everybody. Loads of love.
Take care. Bye-bye.